Welcome to the Middle-aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shelano.
And T.A., here we are with a very special bonus episode to celebrate the release of your debut novel, The Doctor's Hidden Patients.
Yes, Rich, it's book launch day. Years in the making, writing away, trying everything to get a sensible book together, and here we are. It is now available at shelanobooks.co.uk, exclusively there at the moment, actually. So go along and have a look there at our paperbacks and ebooks of The Doctor's Hidden Patients. So yeah, thanks, Rich, and thanks for agreeing to do an extra special podcast to commemorate this occasion.
No thanks needed at all. Really honoured to be a part of this, the Middle-aged Podcast in collaboration with the book launch. So I think we ought to talk a little bit about the book launch and the community that you've kind of discovered out there, and just talk a little bit about how this has gotten off the ground, really.
Yeah, I don't want to talk obviously too much around the book today, because there is episode 2 of season 1 of the podcast. You interviewed me around the book, so I'll probably talk less about that, and more about my experience. I think since, and obviously we've been doing the podcast as well. Some of the engagement, I think, with other authors and sort of podcasters and whatnot online on social media has been great, actually, and it's felt very supportive. I know we touched on mental health and social media in our episode with Laura in season 1. But what I've really found online in this is people supporting each other. So it's not like it's a competition or people are really trying to generally sort of stamp down on what people are doing. It's very much an encouragement, and I've really enjoyed that side of it as well. Beyond the actual writing process and the recording processes that you and I have been through. It's been really good to see what other people are doing around the world and engaging with those people as well.
Yeah, you made a good point, actually, about the positivity around it all, because actually I found, even with the podcast, there's so much support from other podcasters who are willing to advise you on things and give you feedback on your projects, and I'm guessing that was a very similar thing with the book.
Yeah, you kind of get to at least see what other people are doing, even in other genres of books, or people who've been working at it for longer than you, or sometimes shorter than you, and just people sharing hints, tips and advice. And generally where people are perhaps struggling with their writing as well, or, things that feel that aren't going well, it seems to be people are very much about picking people up, whereas so much of other things with social media in life is often about doing people down. This kind of environment and the people sort of focused around this work seem to be much more around supporting everybody else. Again, I think a lot of people are independent. They don't have the backing of publishers or sometimes agents, or people are going through trying to get into those processes as well. And so it's really interesting to understand what's going on and be part of that.
I think it's a really interesting thing. We've said previously how you can now write a book and release it. You can record a podcast and put it out there for people. People are making video games without the usual kind of publishing houses and things. It's a really great time for creative outlets.
Absolutely, and I think I will call out publicly here as well your support with that. Obviously massive involvement in the technical side of the delivery of The Doctor's Hidden Patients, the website and all the work and stuff around the production and the tech that you've obviously put into sort of the podcast as well. So I think it is an interesting time where people can actually do that kind of thing. I mean, if you look back, the idea of printing, publishing your own book and putting out your own show, a radio or some sort of forum, would have been not a real possibility not all that long ago. So it's incredible what we've been able to do in the sense of engaging with people and having people listening, I think, as well to the podcast across the UK, but also other parts of the world, which is just staggering, really, to think that somebody can just click on wherever they are and listen to that. Yeah, it's been really interesting as to what you can do, and obviously we continue to sort of work at what we do, whether it's with books or the podcast, and try and continue to develop it and get better. And some of the feedback we've had from listeners as well, saying how they feel we've evolved through season 1, how it improved, and how much they enjoyed some of the guest episodes. And again, delighted to say we have been joined here for this special bonus podcast by one of our celebrated interviewees from season 1. Our highest rated episode was our breast cancer survivor, Amy, and she has joined us here today for this and to purchase a copy of the book. And so absolutely thrilled that Amy's here, and I think she's going to be speaking very shortly.
Well, TA, for weeks you've been calling yourself the talent of the podcast. I'm pleased to announce we have some actual real talent in one of our former guests, Amy, who has joined us here. The subject of episode 6 of season 1, which has become our highest rated episode, we're pleased to say. So welcome back, Amy.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be back.
Just on that point, though, it isn't simply about the guest. It's about the interviewing as well. And, you know, we cannot at least consider here our interviewing skills with all our guest episodes, I think, for non-professional interviewers, have helped deliver some really good interviews. So let's just, realise there's some talent that sits behind that world as well. Thank you.
I don't think Graham Norton's got anything to be scared of at the moment.
Well, that's really not kind. Really not kind. And if Graham were here, sadly he's not. But also fellow author Graham as well, by the way. So, he also writes books, and he's obviously a fabulous broadcaster. So thanks for calling him out and, embarrassing us with real professionals. But we are trying. And I'd be really interested actually in hearing, Amy, any reflections from your episode or, any feedback that you've been given from people who've listened to that.
Yeah, well, I was obviously grateful to have the opportunity to participate, and it's nice to still be the highest ranking show so far. Hopefully I'll keep my crown. It was really good. I've had really good feedback from a lot of my friends, and it's been quite interesting because a few people have got in contact with me that have got friends or family members that are going through cancer at the moment, and they have actually signposted the podcast to them to say, have a listen to this because this may resonate with you, and there could be a few things there that give people a little bit of inspiration for when they get through treatment. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it.
Well, that's great. And thank you very much for purchasing an advance copy of The Doctor's Hidden Patients. How are you getting on with my book? I'm happy to take an honest answer whilst you sat here. Don't just massage my ego.
I won't massage your ego. It was good to get an advanced copy of the book. I'd obviously heard a lot about it, so it was nice to have an opportunity to read it. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very pacey. I don't read a lot of fiction, but it's definitely a really interesting story. Lot of characters, but some really good characters, and it's funny. Like, as you're reading along, you're kind of getting into the story, trying to work out what's going on and where the next chapter is going to take you to. But at the same time, there's lots of jokes in there and funny things happening to some of the characters, so it moves along really well. I think you've done a really good job. Well,
thank you very much, Amy. That's great. And I've just realised how ridiculous it looks that we're having people who we've interviewed on the podcast who weren't even paid and now actually having to pay to buy my book. But grateful for the support, and your episode was obviously a real positive. And I know I've heard other people have said what they thought about that as well. And thank you very much for telling us your story. Now, Rich, I have been, of course, running a prize draw to win a paperback copy of The Doctor's Hidden Patients and an ebook copy of The Doctor's Hidden Patients. And so I think we're going to announce the prize draw winners.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's announce the winners.
Okay, drum roll, please. The UK winner of a copy of The Doctor's Hidden Patients is N. Treadwell. Congratulations, N. Treadwell. We will be getting a copy to you very, very shortly. And now, for the winner of the ebook, that is a K. Sugget, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, of Canada. And I will be getting in touch with you shortly, also to resolve getting your copy to you. Thank you very much. Now, avid listeners will know also that 2 pre-signed copies of The Doctor's Hidden Patients were deposited in my home city of Birmingham, England this week. Some images are online, and I'm already getting feedback that some people have been out hunting, trying to work out where these copies are. So if you are listening to us and somebody hasn't already taken them off one of the shelves, keep your eyes peeled for copies of The Doctor's Hidden Patients, which you may see on a bookshelf somewhere in Birmingham city centre. We're going to have, sadly, a non-podcast friendly day today because we have got some treats, some snacks and some drinks to commemorate this occasion. And I do hope that listeners will find, in the spirit of what we've been doing for season 1, that this is a special occasion today. It's been a long journey, I think, to get to this point, and it's only right that you or I are allowed a day where we might be able to have, a sausage roll, a pork pie, and maybe a couple of drinks without feeling too bad about our podcast challenge as we head into season 2, where we are going to obviously have clear goals in place and also some great guest episodes on the horizon as well. So really looking forward to that in the run up to the end of 2024. But that's really about what's coming up and the future, Rich. But at the moment, in terms of just sort of marking today, with the book, granted, how much you and I have obviously put into that process and getting that live. There are other people who've obviously really supported me in bringing that book, to where it is. So I would like to really thank Kieran, who did the editing for the book, which was massively, massively helpful. And Anna, who's a literary agent, who gave me some great feedback that really helped improve some of the early drafts. So I'm really grateful to them for what they've done in supporting making the final draft a much stronger end product. And I'd like to thank clockbookprint.co.uk, who have printed the paperback copies of the Doctor's Hidden Patients. Great quality, and the feedback from some of the early advanced purchases has been, to that effect. So really, really pleased with that, and grateful for the service from them with the books.
Brilliant, yes, and I'd like to echo thanks to those people as well. From hearing the stories that you've been telling about the processes and going through, it sounds like they've been really helpful in this journey and getting the book to where it is, which is live now.
And that's what I think I would say to other people out there, who might be listening to that, whether it is writing books or whatever it is you're doing. It is finding people who can give you that support and advice that helps you improve at what you're doing. And I think it's not listening to people who are negative or are putting your work down or discouraging you. It's those people who do ultimately encourage or provide their skills and advice that help take you forward. From working with those people on this project, I feel like my writing has improved, and then I take that into the second book that I'm working on at the moment. So I now have a very different thought process to when I was just sort of initially drafting the Doctor's Hidden Patients. Now, having had that opportunity to engage with people who've been involved in obviously editing other books or supporting other books, writing books, etc., helps improve my skills. And hopefully when I do get towards the end of the second book, I'll be able to look back and think it's in a better state than when the first draft of the Doctor's Hidden Patients, for example. But I would say that to anybody, whatever it is you're doing, is finding those people who can give you that advice and support, and who take your project forward. It's really important. I think the interesting thing as well is for World Book Day, I went to a talk by author Miranda Dickinson, and I actually bought a couple of books from her, and she signed copies for me. And I think one of the really strange things that's come out of recently signing for some of the people who've bought advanced copies of the Doctor's Hidden Patients has been people's desire for me to still sign them, even though I am not a famous author like Miranda. But just having that kind of thing of, will you sign it to us? Will you sign this to my relative and whatnot? And that's been a really interesting thing, where you're like, when you're sitting writing your book, you never really imagine there'll be a day where you'll have a physical paperback copy there that somebody's signing as a non-famous person. So I think that's the thing I want to put out there to people. Whatever your dream is, whatever your vision is, or whatever you're working on, it is possible. If I can do this, you can do whatever it is that you are doing. It is achievable. It is possible. So really do follow your dreams and do the best that you can with the work or whatever your project is, and try and make it happen.
T.A, that's really interesting, you mentioning the author talk that Miranda Dickinson did, and you saying obviously her signing books and she was famous. But there would have been a point where she wasn't famous and she was releasing books and signing them. So this is a great demonstration that anything is possible, and that who knows where it can lead to and what could happen in the future. So everybody has to start somewhere. This is a fantastic start to releasing the book, and hopefully moving on to more and more continued success with the future books.
Well, I think one of Miranda's first books sold out at Waterstones. For the moment, I'd be glad with just selling out at shelanobooks.co.uk, but who knows what the future may bring. So, thank you very much for everybody who is supporting or has supported the Doctor's Hidden Patients. And if you're listening, get out there, get on my website, shelanobooks.co.uk. Have a read of what it's about. Obviously, listen to any of the podcast episodes that you may not have yet and buy a copy of the Doctor's Hidden Patients.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in to today's episode. Been great to chat about the launch of the book. There's lots more to come. We will be back with season 2 in a couple of weeks, but next week you will get a bit of a preview for season 2.
Yeah, looking forward to that, Rich. So stay tuned and enjoy.
Thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye.